Brazil.
Yes, and I am so excited to see this. We can't talk about the decks now because the players have got their headsets on, but Michael Coach Takano is playing, I kid you not, Blissey.
Yeah, I did not think we would be seeing a Blissey on the stage, I have to admit. But, you know, here we are still fighting it out, sitting at an 8-1-3 record. Very solid. Both of these players are still in contention. It is definitely an uphill climb, though. This is going all the way down to table 11. Michael sitting on 27 match points, Caleb on 26. These players are both in a position where every single match they have to win. They have to win in order to keep fighting and try to stay alive in this tournament.
And Michael perhaps channeling the energy of Jamie Sutherland all the way back from the Lille Regionals, of course, who took second with that Blissey deck as well. Sort of going to be playing it to his max ability. Is by far, without doubt, like the best Blissey deck performing so far, and it's so cool to see Blissey doing well again.
On the other side of the table, Caleb Rogerson is going to be playing Mew VMAX, but it's a version of Mew we have not seen quite yet. It is the Meloetta, the Fusion Strike build, as we see Alessa Sparkle being set out in the prize cards. Fusion Strike energy going down as well. Never the best thing to see in the prizes. And this is a matchup that can be pretty tough for the Mew. You can, it's just about navigating things correctly. So if you're able to sequence things properly, it should be fine, but there is one kind of curveball in this matchup, and that's a card that Michael is playing, the Radiant Jirachi.
Yes, this is a Radiant Pokemon we've not seen yet. Insanely strong Radiant Pokemon, honestly. It has sort of two things it really does. When it gets knocked out, you can search your deck for free cards and put them into your hand. But then, of course, the Astral Misfortune attack, 2 colorless energy, flip 2 coins.
And what do you know?
And starting with it, but then if you flip both heads, you just knock out your opponent's active.
It's a good way to get set up, but at the same time, a good way to maybe just try to cheese something. But this is pretty dangerous here, as Michael has just passed the turn. Caleb Rogerson could win the game on this turn. It's not what we're used to seeing from you more recently. It is all about that Meloetta, using that Melodious Echo attack, which deals 70 damage for each Fusion Strike energy you have in play. So if Caleb is able to find a Meloetta and an Alessa Sparkle, and a Fusion Strike energy to attach from hand, he would just be able to win this game.
Actually, would he even need the Fusion Strike energy to attach
he
from
could
hand?
attach any other energy, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because it's the Radiant Jirachi only has like 90 HP, so 140 would be enough. And yeah, it's like you're saying, usually with the Mew, this wouldn't be a worry, right? Because if you're playing a double turbo variant, you can't really attack turn 1, but this is the Meloetta variant again, so Caleb could actually just get the donk here.
Yeah, this would be wild if he can pull it off. Now, it is all about being able to find the pieces, and there's lots of search with this deck. Of course, we've talked plenty about Cramomatic being a great way to do it, and there's also the new Forest Seal Stone as an option. It looks like Caleb's hand might not be that strong, though, and that Path to the Peak in play as well is probably going to slow him down a bit.
Yeah, absolutely vital then that Michael started with that Path to the Peak. Even if the turn wasn't that strong, that path really stopping Caleb from being able to do the insane turn 1, you know, one bajillion draws and then get the Meloetta out and do that Melodious Echo for the KO. So vital that Michael opened with the path.
And we do see V-Guard energy grabbed out of the deck with the energy mix. This is actually a card I really like in the Fusion Strike build of Mew. It makes your Mew VMAX so much tankier, so your opponent is going to have a harder time as, say, a Lugia V-Star player in order to reach for a big one-hit KO.
Yeah, very, very much so. We do see that Michael does actually now have a Blissey in hand, but does decide to go for the Zinnia's Resolve first, so gonna discard a couple of cards and then draw a card for each of Caleb's Pokemon, so there are gonna be 3 cards drawn there.
Does find a Marnie, also a Scoop Up Net, so we could see the Scoop Up Net into the Blissey this turn, but I don't see another energy card. I think the Blissey has to come down because, you know, if you just pass without putting the Blissey in play, you risk losing to just a power tablet, right?
Yeah.
So you don't want to do that.
I think the best play this turn is to just bench the Blissey and use Astral Misfortune, right? Go for it.
Yeah.
Because if the Jirachi gets knocked out, then you get to search for 3 cards anyway, and that's amazing. And then if you get double heads, even better.
Well, it is worth noting, as of now, Michael's own Path to the Peak is shutting off the ability of Radiant
that's a very good point, actually.
It is a rule box Pokemon, but of course, going for that Astral Misfortune, I mean, if you just cheese a couple of heads, that's pretty good, just taking a quick 2 prizes, and if Caleb does have to bump the Path to the Peak to set up and knock out the Jirachi, you just get to search for more cards.
Yeah, so I think pretty much no matter whether the path is still there or not, I think attacking with the Jirachi is absolutely the way to go this turn.
Without a doubt. So Quick Ball will find something else out of the deck. We could see Miltank come into play. It is a card that is usually decent against Mew. Obviously, it does have the Max Miracle attack, and then specifically against Caleb's version of the deck, he does have access to Meloetta, which can just attack into the Miltank regularly, so it might not be as high of a priority for Michael to go for in this matchup as it maybe would be otherwise.
No, almost certainly not. Although something that could maybe be a thing to go for is, of course, that Yveltal that we just saw in the matchup with Sander playing it as a tech attacker. No, actually not just tech attacker, as a free of, just to be able to, you mainly think, oh, you use Yveltal against Lugia, but you can use it to discard energies off Muse as well.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of a control package in the Blissey. Just try to slow the game down, and that's what Blissey aims to do because it takes a long time to get enough energies onto a Blissey in order for it to be doing relevant damage. We do actually see Powerful Colorless Energy was in the hand. Oh, here we go. Misfortune. Let's see if Caleb's the one who's misfortunate. Oh my goodness, the double heads KOs the Mew V. 2 prizes to Michael. What a flip.
Absolutely phenomenal stuff, and Michael just getting the double heads knockout. Oh, you love to see it.
Hey, sometimes the 25% comes through, and that was the case here. Caleb left reeling, flips the Pokemon catcher. It's a Tails. Does have the Mew VMAX in hand, a Quick Ball as well, but with this path in play, he's going to be extremely limited.
I mean, that's so devastating as well, because not only does it take the Mew off the board, but it takes 2 energy off the board as well. So Caleb's not even left with any attacking options right now.
What a turn from Michael. The double heads taking out the Mew V for 2 prizes. And now there's a chance that Caleb might not even be able to do anything here. We might just see a pass. Oh, no, does have Velocity. That is huge.
Okay.
4 cards being drawn. All right, this turn is probably far from over.
Yes, so, but again, this kind of plays into Michael's hand as well, because the fact that Caleb had to play that in order to draw more cards and set up means that now that ability is turned on again on the Radiant Jirachi.
Yes, it is turned on. So if Caleb does take this KO, that means Michael will be able to search for any 3 cards and place them in hand. And some of those cards that seem good seem like Path to the Peak and Marnie and energy cards for your Blissey, maybe a Cape of Toughness as well. Just so many great things to search out.
Yeah, everything. Especially for any free cards. I mean, we talk about how Starbirth is one of the most insane V-Star powers, search for any 2. Jirachi gets you 3, right? And that just basically just gets everything needed in terms of your setup at that point.
So that was a big decision there from Caleb. He could have used Ultra Ball to discard Cramomatic and Silene from hand and then go with the Rotom Phone with the Genesect, but recognized that with this position, with a Fusion Strike energy down and a Fusion Strike energy in the prize cards, he needs to keep the Silene around.
Yeah, it's a very, very wise decision there, and it did pay off for him in fact, because the Cramomatic was actually heads on the flip, so definitely sort of recognizing that it was a gamble worth going for, and it paid off.
And I think if Caleb had flipped Tails, we might have just seen him scoop the game up, maybe play a little bit longer, but now that he has been able to get the heads, he's find a way to maybe get back into this game. Rotom Phone places, I think, a Quick Ball on top of the deck, and we know that Genesect will be able to draw into it, and we could see that Quick Ball find yet another Genesect.
That is Fusion Strike system.
Oh, it was a Cramomatic, actually.
Oh, okay. Oh, and a Battle VIP pass as well, even better. You can just discard that straight away with the Cram.
Easy choice. Could go with the Cram or the Quick Ball, potentially discard. Will be the Quick Ball for now, guaranteeing the Pokemon, and maybe go for one more Fusion Strike system, see what you draw, and then on the other end of this Fusion Strike system, maybe then you go for the Cramomatic.
Yeah, now the bench is completely full as well, so the last Fusion Strike system will be for the full complement of 6, which you got to love to see if you're in Caleb's position. Here comes a Rotom Phone as well one more time. We do see the Forest Seal Stone there off the Rotom Phone. Maybe probably going to go for that, I imagine. Yep, just picks that straight away. Of course, this is one of the new cards from Silver Tempest that has absolutely accelerated Mew into the stratosphere as if it needed more, it's accelerating.
Yes, this is such a strong card, giving you half a Starbirth pretty much, letting Mew VMAX have access to a V-Star power, getting any 1 card, and this is so good in a combo deck like Mew, where you're looking for a specific piece on any given turn. Now, Caleb is yet to find energy, but of course can do that with the Forest Seal Stone. Could also go for the Cramomatic potentially. Also, I don't believe he has played a supporter. So we see the Serena in hand, could draw cards, or even use it to bring up the Blissey. Does he have the pieces to maybe go for a KO here? I
mean, it would be a pretty good call, right? Because that way you play around, of course, the search of the Jirachi, and you take 2 prizes as well, so you're better on tempo. Yeah, maybe you just go for that.
Might be a little harder now with the Tails on the Cramomatic. I don't think there's been any damage modifiers played, so we probably won't see the Blissey be KO'd here. But Force Seal Stone is there. We will see that V-Star marker flipped, and I think this has to just get an energy card.
Yeah, you have to think so, right? Because that's exactly what you need. Right? That's the one piece you're missing. You've got everything else on your board set up, ready to go. You just need to be able to attack, and for that, you need the energy, and of course, there goes a double turbo straight away.
Yeah, and even though this deck is the Fusion Strike build, it does still play a couple copies of this double turbo energy because for reasons like this, just being able to attach and attack.
Oh, and there's a Serena.
Okay. Going to Fusion, going to just use that cross Fusion Strike to copy Technoblast and hit this Blissey as hard as he can. And this is a decent strategy as well because it's difficult for Michael to heal all this damage off. That's really what Blissey aims to do. It's trying to tank a big hit and then use Hyper Potions to heal that damage. There's only one energy on this Blissey right now. Being able to hit into it before it uses Blissful Blast can be really strong.
Yeah, it is. And again, it plays around the Jirachi, right? Because you really do not want to let your opponent search for any free cards that they want. And even if you're not taking a KO, I think softening up a 2-prizer is definitely the better move at this point.
So now Michael left with a bit of a decision. What do we do here? Attach and attack and just try to throw some damage down onto this Mew potentially. Maybe try to dig for the healing card. What are the plays here?
Double heads again?
Potentially. We're trying to figure something out here at the table with the judges. Yeah, it should be 190 damage. That is correct.
Yeah, that's
Cross
right
Fusion
amount.
Strike copies Technoblast, which has 210. Double Turbo is -20, so that is 190 damage.
Yeah, so the damage number is definitely correct. And, okay, I say double heads again as a joke, but, I mean, at this point, if you're not really going to be able to do much damage with the Blissey anyway, maybe that's actually just the best move.
It could be. It does involve getting this Blissey to the bench, which is probably the hardest part of that puzzle. We've got switch cards and things like that to try to move this from the active, but as of now, I don't think I see any of those pieces in hand.
Yeah, and it might actually just be a boss's orders stall play from Michael, not really able to do anything else. No way to get that Blissey out of the active, and maybe just, going to go for that Blissful Blast.
This is actually really interesting. I'm taking a closer look now at Michael's list. There's no switch card. There's no Sharon's Care. None of these ways to move Blissey out of the active spot. So this really is probably going to be the best play. Bring up this Genesect, try to hit it for some damage and get some more energy.
Oh, no, there are 2 switch cards on the list.
Are there? Okay, yes, I see them.
Yes,
yep.
The list is written in Portuguese, so I think that's why.
Yep, my apologies.
Carrinho de substituição, in case anyone was curious. But so 2 switch cards on the list. But that is, to be fair though, the point kind of still stands. There's like 2 of those, and there's only 1 Sharon's Care as well, so there still aren't a lot of switch options. Yep,
Sharon's Care there in the list as well, but we will see the hit into the Genesect. This will set up a 2-hit knockout. Caleb does need now to find a way to get this Genesect out of the active spot. I do think there is Escape Rope as an option potentially. We'll start with the Fusion Strike system just for 1. That is not the strongest. Escape Rope is already in hand. We see Cramomatic, I think, there in the hand as well. Silene, Power Tablet as all options to go for.
It is. I mean, Escape Rope you can't really go for, though, because if you do, your Michael just promotes the Jirachi and gets that search off again. So you really got to find a switch card that isn't Escape Rope. Oh, but no, he's just forced to play it.
I mean, there's no way to draw more cards in the hand right now. Right? You got to thin the hand down in order to draw with Genesect.
Yeah, so there you go. Not much of a choice then. And so Michael,
I think is happy to send up the Jirachi.
Yeah, more than happy. Up comes the Mew, and maybe Caleb, unless Caleb has a Gusting card of some kind, will be just forced to play into this Jirachi, and that Entrusted Wishes is going to be doing Michael very, very well.
Caleb does have a couple Serena. Already 1 has hit the discard pile. He also does play the 3 Pokemon Catcher, but some of those have already hit the discard pile as well.
Yeah, and that's not going to be the support option. So due to the Silene getting played, and it's 1 heads, 1 tails.
Okay, let's see what the 1 option is.
Yeah.
Just the Fusion Strike energy seems good. You want to try to have as many of these as possible. You want to not only be able to attack with Meloetta into the potential Miltank, which Michael has already put down, but if you put enough Fusion Strike energy in play, it actually makes it very easy to KO Blissey.
Yeah, it is, because we've not really seen any of the Fusion Strike energy hitting the discard pile apart from the one that was just recovered with the Silene. So there is still potential later on to build up a bunch of Fusion Strike energies and then do big damage with that Melodious Echo on Meloetta, which would be one of the easiest ways to deal with Blissey.
Caleb did prize a Fusion Strike energy.
Oh, that's true.
This does complicate things, but it is something that he can hope to take off the prizes, right? So you still want to play that way, go for the Fusion Strike energy, and I like putting it on the Mew VMAX as well. It's a lot beefier. It's not going to get KO'd if you put it on the Meloetta, right? And, of course, Cross Fusion Strike can copy the Melodious Echo.
Yes, and then you see there it does go for the Technoblast, KO on the Jirachi. It does go to the Lost Zone, but it doesn't make a difference. It still fires off the ability in that, and Trusted Wish is now going to search Michael for any free cards they want. So you've got to be thinking that Michael's pretty happy that that sort of Jirachi was finally able to be used.
So as Michael, we get any 3 cards. What are the 3 pieces? What are the main things we want to set up this turn?
I think you've got to maybe be thinking about your Veltal. Yeah, you see the 3 pieces there, right? Your Veltal and the double turbo energy. That Cry Destruction can really just put Caleb so much further back in terms of tempo of attachment. Just get rid of double turbo and the Fusion Strike energy, and make it really awkward for Caleb to be able to mount any kind of offensive pressure.
And Jirachi, let's not forget, already sent 2 energy to the discard pile. Now Caleb did get one of them back with the Silene, but now it has come back into play. So that could certainly be an option. We could also see maybe a Path and a Marnie. That's also something to consider. But it looks like we might be going the Eviltal route. Okay, Cry of Destruction time.
Yeah, I think it's a very fair play to make, and maybe just finally a switch card just to make sure we can actually get the Eveltal into the active.
Also make sure we have a draw supporter most likely. Hopefully there is one in hand, because I don't think that Michael grabbed one, but assuming that there is one in hand, this is definitely A-okay. And interesting enough, something to note, the switch card will heal the Blissey a little bit.
Yes, it will. Of course, taking 30 damage off it. It's one of the things that you perhaps sometimes forget about switch card. You think, oh, it's just like another switch out, but it does indeed only work on basics. But when you switch, you get to heal 30 damage from the Pokemon you move to the bench.
Let's see if the combo is ready. Yes, Eviltal on the bench, double turbo energy, switch card, and I think the Marnie is already in hand as well. So this is going to be a really strong turn here for Michael, taking all of these energies out of play on Caleb's end.
Yeah, and then following up with the Marnie as well. I mean, if Michael wanted that your perfect turn, like all he really wants to see right now is a pass to the peak off of the Marnie. That would make it pretty much like the ideal. So here it is, Marnie. Does Michael find a path to really, really shut Caleb down?
Yes, that would be massive. Now, Caleb can respond to the Eviltal still, of course, does have access to another double turbo energy, but that's another energy card down.
Yeah, it is. And, of course, there's one that Caleb still needs to find as well, which I don't believe. Is it in the hand already? No, I don't think I see it.
No.
So
I think he did find the Alessa Sparkle, so if he found another Fusion Strike energy, that could power up a Mew VMAX in order to be able to attack.
Yes, indeed it could. It does look like, no, Michael did not find the path. Does find a second Eveltal, so can follow up with another Cry Destruction on the next turn. But in the meantime, yeah, just going to go for the one on the active, and that is 3 energy total down now for Caleb, including the one that already went a couple of turns ago.
Caleb was able to top deck the Alessa Sparkle. Will target the 2 Mew VMAX. Of course, I think there is only one Fusion Strike energy in the deck, so he'll definitely want to make sure he puts it on the benched one. Did he copy? I guess he must have copied Technoblast with Cross Fusion Strike last
I would have
turn,
thought
right?
so, yeah.
I don't think Melodious Echo was getting there, so yeah, make sure we put this energy on the bench because the active one does have to retreat.
Yeah, so yeah, very sensible decision from Caleb. Interesting that the Elise Sparkle only went for one, but that's of course it's because Caleb drew the other one.
Right,
so
and that's what he needed to do as well, because you have to attach from hand. So this will actually work out decently as a way to attack into the Eviltal this turn. Can just go for the Max Miracle, take a one-hit knockout pretty easily.
But now there's a potential very awkward position, right? Because Michael could just bring up the other Eveltal Cry Destruction again, get rid of 2 more energy, and then Caleb has like what, 1 double turbo left?
Yeah, that is where things could be a problem. It is a little. I think that's a bit to ask of the Blissey deck to be able to pull off in back-to-back turns, but it is certainly possible.
I mean, you just need the attachment at this point, right? The Eveltal's already down, so
sure.
So as long as the energy's in hand,
Yeah, it
then
needs to find a double turbo then, right?
Yeah, or a twin, although I'm not sure if there's any twins
no
left.
Twins.
No. Okay, but yeah, if Michael can find that, then yeah, this could be a really, really amazing turn. So it's going to be on Michael to respond to Caleb as soon as this attack goes through.
So Michael actually does have the twins.
Okay.
We've got 3 twin energy and 4 double turbo. So really relying on the Jirachi and the Eviltal as big attackers in this matchup.
And I mean, it makes a lot of sense, right? Both of these attackers
in the format, right?
Yeah, I mean, both of these attackers are very effective in their own ways, with Jirachi helping you set up and getting the 25% cheese on occasion. Oh, that second double turbo is also prized.
Yeah, the second double turbo is prized. So I think if a Cry of Destruction comes out here, I don't think Caleb can attack. I think the game may just be over.
Wow, and maybe Michael, not necessarily obviously recognizing that, but thinking, okay, this is worth going for regardless, and
it's still the best play potentially, right?
Yeah, so wow, as long as this, I mean, we see the Serena in hand, as long as Michael can draw a twin or a double turbo, this game could be over. Oh, there's a Research!
Yeah, Research sees so many more cards here.
Even better, wow. So Michael is a win with a very, very good shot of just essentially winning the game with just one more attack. Be absolutely incredible.
I think there's a Hyper Potion in hand, so maybe Michael is debating not playing the Research because they want to hang on to the Hyper Potion, but also you could just play the Hyper Potion and then go for Research, right?
Yeah, or just not as well.
Don't want to lose the energies on the Blissey. I think valuing that a little more. Okay, let's see it. Is there a twin or a double turbo?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, you got it!
He got the double turbo energy, and I think that will most likely be enough here in order to just get rid of these energy cards. I wonder what Caleb's going to do once this double turbo comes down. Will he just concede the game? Yes,
Wow,
sure enough.
yeah.
Caleb recognizes, hey, my last 2 energies are prized. There's nothing I can do. Let's go to a game 2.
So Yveltal 2 games in a row in 2 very different decks, putting the absolute hurt on their opponents to just discard all the energy and win. Absolutely incredible stuff to see.
And this is a testament to the players being able to recognize the dominance of Lugia, how good it would be and how played it would be, and then try to exploit those weaknesses.
And I don't know if you guys can hear in the background, but the crowd are loving that.
Yeah, definitely. Cheering on Michael, ready to see him succeed. Now Caleb, with his back against the wall, is sitting down a game here with 26 match points. If he has hopes of getting top 8 at this tournament, it is going to have to be a 2-game comeback here in this round.
And we know it's well possible, right? You know, Mew is one of those decks that can win very, very quickly, so it's not outside the realm of possibility. But if Michael can just stream Cry Destruction over and over again, you got to start thinking, you feel like a little bit worried, I think it's safe to say.
Let's also not forget, it looks like we're having a step off the stage real quick, so let's not talk about any of the strategy too much as the headsets are off. But Caleb is a player who, you know, let's also remember in that game 1, had a chance to just win the game on turn 1, right? All Michael had was the Radiant Jirachi and a pass. But Caleb just didn't have the Alessa Sparkle, didn't have Meloetta, didn't quite have the pieces necessary to just take the game and win on turn 1. You got to be thinking as Caleb, that's a huge missed opportunity.
Yeah, it is, and I mean, of course, there was the pass to peak in play, so that meant there was no option to really draw or slow him down. But yeah, with Caleb not having the out to the pass to the peak, that essentially meant that turn 1 was a Battle VIP pass and then nothing else.
Yeah, Caleb's a great player as well. He just made top 8 recently at, I believe, the Salt Lake City Regional Championships. He has won an international championships in the seniors division. This is his first year as a master. And I think with a top 8 finish at Salt Lake, he's already proven himself as a great player, but a top 8 in international really does cement yourself up there.
Yeah, it really, really does. There's, you know, there's so much on the line at regionals, but then at the internationals, there's even more on the line, right? So the prize pools just, you know, keep getting bigger and bigger. And just to update you guys at home, Michael just had to have a quick little break, and you will be back soon. But yeah, in the meantime, yeah, we can just talk about the matchup a bit, right? So I know we're doing that the whole time anyway, regardless, but I guess we can phrase it a slightly different way, right? How can we think things can go differently for either player in terms of maybe, is there anything that Caleb could do differently to try and win?
Sure, well, and I also have to wonder in that game 1 if that Radiant Jirachi was a huge factor, right? If that's not a double heads, if that doesn't just take the KO on the Mew V, Caleb's in a fine spot, right? Just take the knockout on the Jirachi, keep your Mew around. You have one more Fusion Strike Pokemon in play, so you get to draw more cards with the Fusion Strike system. That was definitely a huge deal. So, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Michael continue to lean into that Jirachi strategy. It's just decent when it gets knocked out. You get to search for 3 cards, and sometimes you get lucky.
So what I'm hearing is make it so that Michael doesn't flip double heads.
Yeah, that's Caleb's strategy.
Yeah.
And Caleb on the other end is also someone who's going to be flipping plenty of coins. Of course, we've got the Cram-O-Matics in the deck, and I don't think the flips went the best for Caleb in that game. He got a couple Cram Tails. He did get a heads on a Silene, but it was just 1 and not the 2. So here we go into this match, setting up for game 2. With a win here, Michael would move to 30 match points, a great spot to be, but with a few rounds remaining, there is still an uphill battle. Players are drawing these opening hands, trying to find those basic Pokemon. Caleb looks like has a mulligan, so that means Michael will be starting this game with an additional extra card.
Major, definitely not something that you want to give at any point. And yeah, Michael just 1 game away from being able to continue on that, you know, that win-out streak and actually make his way into top 8. It's you can smell it. You know, it's so close, right? It's tantalizing, but you have to keep level head. You got to keep cool. You got to make sure that you still play to the best of your ability and just keep things calm as you go into the second game, and don't get complacent just because you won.
Yes, yeah, definitely don't get in your own head and think, okay, I've got this. I was able to cruise through game 1. You're not going to get double heads on Jirachi every single game, so definitely don't let that be something you take for granted.
No, definitely not. So both players now ready with their cards face down. We're just waiting on the go-ahead to put out the prizes, just so we can see what both of these players are working with.
See these prizes very shortly, and hopefully for Caleb as well. We saw a Fusion Strike Energy prize, which had to kind of affect the way he played a little bit in that game. The prizes weren't too bad for Michael, so you know, we definitely don't like to see prizes play a huge factor, but of course it is part of the game.
Yeah, it is. And we're just now looking. Okay, I was actually maybe debating putting down another Pokemon. Just looking at hand again. Maybe deciding not to. It's can always be a tricky decision. When you're going first, usually you don't want to put down more than one Pokemon just because you don't really have much of a need to. But maybe Caleb sort of thinking that through. And I guess it's just some kind of issue that it's being resolved, and we'll get back to you guys as soon as possible.
Yeah, I think what they're doing here is just trying to make sure the time is correct, make sure we get the right amount of time remaining on the match for whatever time extension had to be given. I think there's just a little communication going on there between the judge at the table and our production team as we see these prizes going out. A Miltank and a Blissey, Cape of Toughness, the double turbo, nothing too terrible over on Michael's side. Obviously all cards you like. Caleb, though, prizing 2 Battle VIP Pass does really decrease those odds of finding it early, and also a Fusion Strike Energy in the prizes still. Yeah,
and that's really not ideal for Caleb, not wanting to have any Battle VIP Pass really prized because early on that's the card you want to be the most likely to see. But it looks like actually Caleb's opened with another one. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he has opened up another Battle VIP Pass, so that is got to feel pretty good. And that's actually one of the situations where it's okay to prize some Battle VIP Pass as long as you can still find one early on. You feel good about it. You see Caleb here kind of checking the prize cards, pulling those power tablets up to the front, the Fusion Strike Energies as well. All very important resources.
Yeah, you gotta have a look through and see what he has access to and what he doesn't. And no pass to the peak in play this time, obviously, so Caleb can start going a little bit more ham with the draws this turn, maybe get out a couple of Genesects, start doing some early Fusion Strike systems, set up his hand nicely so that he's prepared in the eventuality that path does come down.
And Michael has started the Miltank in the active spot, so that means Caleb's first attack is either going to have to be with a Meloetta, or it will have to be the Cross Fusion Strike, copying a Technoblast, or sorry, not a Technoblast, a Max Miracle, or even a Mew can use Max Miracle with just 2 Fusion Strike Energies on it.
Yeah, absolutely can. And it's very important to always get 2 Mew down in that instance because it gives you that flexibility of being able to attack and retreat between the two. And like I said, copying Max Miracle can be relevant as well, especially in this matchup for Punch through the Miltank. So definitely a lot to think about.
A pretty solid hand here for Caleb, just the 1 VIP pass, but does have a couple Pokemon, can bench those, put them into play so that more cards can be drawn. We actually see the draw of the Forest Seal Stone, that excellent new tool card, giving a Pokemon V an ability. We'll keep it going with a quick ball here for now and just eyes up another Genesect, and we see how much Caleb really values drawing through the deck. Yeah,
and right now it makes the most sense, right? You want to make sure that your hand is prepared as possible for the eventuality of a path to peak coming down because you know the kind of deck you're playing against. And I think that Forest Steelstone attachment as well is going to be a good thing to put in the bank essentially to make sure that you're prepared for that eventuality later on.
You know what? Caleb had a bad time last game getting hit by that Radiant Jirachi, but he's drawn into the counter card, that Big Parasol, and I think he's debating actually discarding it with the Cramomatic, so Big Parasol might not come into play, but that could be a way to try to protect from the Jirachi.
Yeah, it could. I mean, is it something you really want to commit to when you're thinking to yourself that it's a 25% chance regardless? Surely it can't happen again, right? But
yeah,
it would be funny to see.
It's a low chance, so we're not worried about it. Something to note about Caleb's board, though, is he has filled the bench, which means there is no room for Meloetta right now.
Oh, that's a very good point. Yeah, just going all out with the Muse and Genesect, so no option for Melodious Echo at this point, which is not really ideal.
Yep, I think Caleb's decision to do that probably comes off the back of the fact that a Fusion Strike Energy is prized. He knows he can't get 4 Fusion Strike Energies in play, at least early on. So since that's not possible, we don't really care about using Melodious Echo. And of course, the Mew itself can just use Max Miracle to KO the Miltank.
Yeah, so at this point, I'm just thinking I'd rather just focus on the Muse and Genesects and
That's a big card there in hand for Michael. Does have the Avery. That could be really strong in this spot, forcing Caleb to discard a couple Pokemon. If you can play a couple of Averys over the course of a game against a Mew player, as Michael does slam it down, that makes it really difficult for them.
That is pretty devastating, it must be said. So, yeah, Avery supported it. It took a little bit of time to see the big uptick in play, but when people realized how devastating discarding to your opponent's bench was, it became a near enough mainstay in a lot of decks.
It's super strong against specific decks as well, right? It's super strong against things like Mew, and for a while people were playing it as an answer to the Rapid Strike Malamar, right? When that deck was extremely popular, people were like, okay, if we just delete some of those Intellions off the board, that's pretty good. And just honestly, even against Arceus Intellion and Palkia Intellion, right? Avery has been a very good card.
Yeah, and of course it has fringes against Regigigas as well, of course, on a deck that relies on a full bench setup, so it's very, very solid card play all around. And even it's one of those cards where even at its absolute worst, it still just draws 3 cards.
Yes, absolute worst case scenario. You still get to see some new cards. As this quick ball does come down, discarding a card and now finding any basic Pokemon. Looks like a Research did just hit the discard pile there. So anytime you see your opponent discard a Professor Research, you've got to be pretty confident that they've got a solid enough hand.
Yeah, you would hope so at the very least. And now looking through, maybe looking at to get that Yveltal straight away. We see it poking up ever so slightly from the deck.
I think at a minimum, counting how many are available. Right?
Yeah. I do believe we still won the prizes, didn't we?
Yep. Yeah. Yes, I do believe that is correct. Now, also could see the Radiant Jirachi be grabbed as an early setup option. We saw that be really important in the last game, but Yveltal is being brought to the front as of now.
And
nope.
Oh no!
Jirachi time. Here we go.
Oh, the fake out, pointing to the Yveltal, but no, actually going to go for that Radiant Jirachi. Are we going to see it again?
I mean, if we see another double heads, I mean that's just unfair, honestly. Like it's just not right to see that happen. So it will be an attach to the Miltank for now. Just a route, and the Path to the Peak is the combination of Avery plus Path to the Peak is so good against the Mew VMAX deck.
Yeah, it really is. So forcing the Genesect discard, and then on top of that, forcing there to be like an out to draw with the Genesects that you have left. It's a pretty devastating mix, and Caleb does not have an out to the Path to the Peak right now.
Doesn't have an out to the Path to the Peak, but does at least have the pieces in order to attack. Has the Alessa Sparkle to grab these two Fusion Strike energies out of the deck, has targeted the two Mews on the bench, and also, I do believe, already has the Mew VMAX in hand. So we can see this Miltank be dealt with.
Yeah, interesting enough, just choosing to grab the one Fusion Strike energy for now, wanting to save the other one maybe for later on. And of course, in the Fusion Strike build, because you are actually playing the Fusion Strike energy, you don't need to get two Mew VMAXs out to copy Max Miracle. You can just evolve one and use it as is on the active.
This is definitely Caleb by only getting the two Fusion Strike energy. This is definitely him playing around the Cry of Destruction of Yveltal, right? Does not want to let just three energies get discarded for no reason at all. And I think as Caleb here, whenever you've seen now a little bit more of what your opponent's deck does, you need to adjust and you need to prize map a little bit better, right? Think about every single energy as needing to yield you at least one prize card, and ideally two. This is going to be the case where we're going to just be seeing most likely the one prize on the Miltank. There is a chance we could see Pokemon Catcher go after the Blissey on the bench and find a few damage modifiers as well. We'll see what Caleb wants to do.
I think at this point it's probably more likely that you just go for the Miltank, right? It's like kind of the annoying thing that you have to punch through in terms of that Max Miracle attack, so you may as well just take the thing that's in front of you and just not have to worry about it at that point.
Another Mew VMAX being grabbed out of the deck, evolving the active. It does have 50 damage on it, but it still takes a lot for Blissey to be able to get enough energies to get to a Mew. That does make it a little easier to KO, though. Yeah,
it does. So definitely something to consider as the game goes on. Now, we do see finally, yes, the retreat into the Mew VMAX, and it's going to be Max Miracle for a knockout on the Miltank, and taking one of those useless Battle VIP passes out of the prizes.
That's not a great one. Genesect off the prizes would have been pretty nice. That would have been a good thing to put onto the bench, potentially, to keep drawing cards, as one has hit the discard pile off the Avery.
Yes, so now back to Michael's turn. We don't see another double turbo in hand or another twin energy, because if we did, I think this would definitely be the turn to take the gamble and go for the Astral Misfortune.
Well, for now, we are going to draw a couple of cards, 5 to be exact, off the Zinnia's Resolve. Let's see if he can find the pieces. Switch card could get into the Yveltal. Oh, but I don't think I see the double energy.
No, unfortunately not. Just a bunch of other single energies, but no double turbo, no twin, meaning that neither Jirachi nor Yveltal is an option this turn. Very unfortunate turn of events for Michael.
Not the best thing. We're seeing the judge just wants to check exactly what is going on here with this Zinnia's Resolve. It's not a card we see very often, pretty much exclusively in this deck. But now the options for Michael, I don't think can attack with either Jirachi or Yveltal, but maybe could attack with the Blissey. Is that worth it, though?
Yeah, it's hard to say, and that's... I mean, it would get more energy onto the Blissey at that point, and but I also don't know how many energy there are in the discard pile. I don't think there's too many to attach with the Blissful Blast.
Right. Capture energy coming down onto the Yveltal. I think that this is a turn where Michael is okay just passing. The Radiant Jirachi's in the active. If it gets KO'd, you can just go get the double turbo energy for the Yveltal, right? So that is a great place to be. Just leave the Jirachi active. We're not going to see the flip of the coins anymore. We're not going to see any Astral Misfortunes, but just a pass is very okay. Yeah,
it is, especially when you pass for something that, like you said, is something you always want to be KO'd, right? You want to get the ability off, you want to be able to search for those free cards, and then you just do promote the Yveltal next turn and do Cry Destruction and make your opponent very sad.
Cramomatic for Caleb, first card played. He also does have access to the Forest Sealstone this turn, so we could see any 2 cards grabbed. This could be a good turn for Caleb to just chase some prizes, potentially go after that Blissey. trying to get around that Jirachi because he knows in hand right now, in hand, Michael does not have a Twin Energy because potentially it would have come down onto the Jirachi.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that you definitely want to consider playing around, and the fact that you have sort of 2 deck searches to do with, going for the Serena straight away.
Needs to have just a couple of damage modifiers here. There's the Power Tablet. There is the Choice Belt. Now the Cross Fusion Strike. Copying Technoblast will be doing enough damage to one-hit KO Blissey.
Yeah, you'll have to say it for Caleb, right? And Caleb, I think we talked about earlier, Caleb has played this very beautifully, right? Because he's managed to commit the minimal amount of energy possible to do this. And so he's doing this in a way where even if the Cry of Destruction comes right now, it's not the end of the world. He has enough energy to keep going and still carry this game through to the end.
Couple of awkward prizes there for Caleb still with the Fusion Strike energy remaining in the prizes and also Power Tablet cards he would love to have grabbed, but they're still remaining in the prizes for now. Now this is a great turn for Michael to go for that Cry of Destruction, of course, with 1 energy already on the Eviltal. It's very easy to set up, but Caleb still has plenty of energy left this game. He has definitely been able to manage that much better.
Yeah, and although we still see 1 more Fusion Strike energy in the prize cards, there's still plenty of other energy to work with for Caleb to attach. We see the double turbo, for example, already in hand, so that's just one attach and go to be able to attack again. Oh, but here comes something that could help turn the tide here. Here comes a Roxanne.
And if Michael can find Path to the Peak off of these 6 cards, there is a chance that with just the 2 cards, Caleb would be slowed down. Now, Caleb, thankfully, does have that Forest Sealstone on the Genesect, which is a pretty easy failsafe into the Roxanne Path play because you can still use that Forest Sealstone ability even if Path is out.
Yes, and as an interaction we talked about yesterday, of course, because it came up in the same instance there, so that is exactly why probably Caleb didn't necessarily use the Star Alchemy that previous turn, wanted to keep it in reserve in case the Path to the Peak came down, so he still had an out for it the next turn.
Absolutely a heads-up play. Hisuian Heavy Ball will put itself into the prize cards, trading for that Mill Tank, getting it back out of the deck. Back out of the prizes, I should say, putting that into the hand. Now with the Cry of Destruction set up, ready to go, this active Mew will lose these 2 energies, and Caleb will have to retreat this Mew as well, but thankfully it does have free retreat, so as long as he's got double turbo or can find it, he should be in a decent spot.
And it does look like as well that there was no Path to the Peak from Michael, unfortunately, so Caleb not needing to burn the Forest Sealstone to find out for it, just being able to go straight away for more cross fusion strikes, at which point the Roxanne doesn't really do as much, unfortunately.
And I think if your opponent, I think as Michael, you still wanted to put Path to the Peak in play, even though Caleb does have the Forest Sealstone, because you want to force his hand. You want to force him to use it to get a Stadium out, as opposed to maybe using it to get a combo piece.
Yeah, but not how I played that there, unfortunately. And you got to think now that Caleb is actually in a pretty good spot to win here because he's managed to manage his energies very effectively. He's about to take another KO on the Yveltal. There isn't really that much standing in his way in terms of being able to take a win. Oh, yeah, it is on the Cramoraphic.
Can grab the V-Guard energy out of the deck. If he's got Alessa's in hand, that can get the other Fusion Strike energy from the deck. I think that's the play we're going to see him go for here. Yes, indeed. Targeting the 2 Mew VMAX. Does need to put this energy onto the benched Mew, however.
Yes, there is only 1 Fusion Strike energy left in the deck currently. The 4th one is still, unfortunately, in the prize cards of Caleb. He's not quite able to get that one out, but yes, very wisely putting that Fusion Strike energy onto the bench and then attaching the V-Guard so that you can get the attack cost going.
Drawing just a couple more cards here with that Fusion Strike system. Does still have access to Star Alchemy on the Forest Sealstone, saving that for later. And for now, we will see that Cross Fusion Strike, copying the Max Miracle, dealing 130 damage, taking the KO on the Yveltal, and sending it to the Lost Zone, and also taking that Fusion Strike energy off the prizes. I don't know how relevant that will be at this point. I guess it could come into play with some Silene plays potentially in the future, so it's definitely nice to have.
It is, and meanwhile, from Michael's side, we do see he has a Twin Energy ready to go now, so the fact that he promoted the Yveltal tells me that, yeah, he's just going to go all in on going for another Cry of Destruction and hope that Caleb doesn't have enough energy to see the game through.
Yeah. At this point, I definitely heavily favor Caleb Rogerson. He's got 2 prizes remaining, and he's got 2 double turbo energies. So Michael's going to have to try to find a way to slow this game down, and this is a great start using Serena to bring up this Genesect, force Caleb's hand a little bit.
Yeah, and it's what you were talking about forcing hand earlier, right? This is when it would have been really nice to get the Path because the Forest Sealstone is still out now, so this means that it was still in play, so Caleb could use that to search for an energy if he needed. If Michael found the Path to the Peak last turn, Caleb would have been forced to burn the Star Alchemy to search for an out, and then it wouldn't be a thing this turn.
Caleb just checking the discard pile of the opponent. Michael will do the same. Caleb now having a quick ball in hand could fill the bench with that Genesect that was taken off of the prizes earlier. Start to try and draw more cards. I don't believe there is any Echoing Horn in this list. Oh, no, he does actually still play that card. So I think it's not possible with the... If he has one more Power Tablet, he can't quite get there because of the damage reduction of Double Turbo, because he has to attack with Double Turbo, right?
Yeah.
So it is unfortunately, I think... Well, I think it actually would be right at the 250, actually. Oh, but the Blissey, funny enough, it's not in the discard pile. It's in the Lost Zone. The Blissey he knocked out earlier. So he can't actually use the Echoing Horn in order to get it out.
So Caleb's Lost City, and this is actually coming back to bite him a little bit, sort of preventing that Echoing Horn play from being viable.
I think he's still in a great spot. He doesn't have to necessarily win this turn, so there's no reason to really dig super hard for the Echoing Horn play, even if it was available. He can set this up very nicely. He's got the Double Turbo Energy on top of the deck if he's got an Escape Rope. He's just got the 2 energies left, right? He's got Escape Rope in hand. He's got the Fusion Strike system will get this Double Turbo. He is definitely looking good.
He is. Even if the Fusion Strike system doesn't hit the Double Turbo, at the very, very least, Caleb could just Forest Steel Stone to get it, so it's pretty much guaranteed. But there it is anyway. But now Caleb does need a way to get this Genesect out of the active. Does he find it?
I think he's got the Escape Rope, yep. And he doesn't really care about attacking into Jirachi now. Sure, Michael, go ahead, get any 3 cards you want. I've got 2 Double Turbos left. I think I'm just fine.
And as long as Caleb can find that last Double Turbo, and actually he can guarantee it, can't he? Because the Forest Seal Stone is still in play.
Yes.
So there's basically like no way for Michael to stop this.
I think if Michael's best play might be to not go for Yveltal and maybe just send up the Blissey. It's the thing with the highest amount of HP, and hope that Caleb can't reach for the KO. But with a large hand size and a Forest Seal Stone, it seems pretty likely Caleb will be able to find the pieces. Yeah,
maybe find a Cape of Toughness as well, just to increase that sort of HP buff even further. It's we see 3 of them in the deck, and in fact, is Michael just going to grab 3 Capes of Toughness?
That would be interesting. Make these Pokemon have as much HP as possible. They don't survive a Technoblast, so I don't think it would really help all that much. Maybe just 1 for the Miltank, though. Force the fact that Max Miracle can't get the KO, force Caleb to find a Gusting card, right?
Yeah, and wait, did Michael actually grab 3? Okay, he did grab 3. I thought he just grabbed nothing for a second. I was very, very going to raise my eyebrow a little bit, but no.
Yeah, I think with the way Jirachi's worded, you actually have to grab 1, but I think it does say up to 3, but I guess maybe if it's worded like that, you can get 0. But we do just see these Capes coming down on to play the Scoop Up Net on to that other benched Pokemon.
Yeah, he's picking up 1 of the Yveltals, the one that didn't get promoted to the active. Oh, another Avery coming in, okay. So can discard, another Genesect enemy from that. That does cut off the draw options a little bit. But again, that Forest Steel Stone is still around, and that's like the biggest problem right now.
Now Michael does find the path. This is great to put into play because now Caleb will have to use Forest Steel Stone to get a replacement stadium as opposed to getting what other piece he may need, like a Double Turbo Energy.
Yeah, and that's definitely going to sort of help him out. Capture Energy comes onto the Miltank as well, just to find whatever base is left in the deck. Maybe just try and go for a Blissey. No, actually just finds nothing in the end.
Nothing in the end. Just shuffling the deck here, getting an extra energy on the Miltank. He did scoop up net the Pokemon on the bench, so I can tell he's trying to make sure that he can't lose to just an Escape Rope, right?
Yeah, which is very, very, very clever. Cry Destruction one more time.
All right, all Caleb needs here is the Double Turbo Energy. Yeah, doesn't even need the Stadium card for Path to the Peak. Can just put it onto the bench, use Cross Fusion Strike, copy Technoblast, and we're going here to Game 3.
Yeah, very, very well played there from Caleb. Able to pull it back after that loss in Game 1. Found the right strategy and right energy management to play around Michael's strategy of discarding all the energy with Yveltal. So now we're 1 game apiece, and it's all to play for here.
That's right. 1 game apiece. If you lose or tie, you are likely eliminated from Top Cut. About 16 minutes remaining in the match. Should be enough time for a game to finish. It's going to be close, though. We're definitely going to be going to +3 turns, I would imagine, in this one. Yeah,
I'd be very, very surprised if we didn't. I mean, it has been so far, there's 20 minutes left on the clock, so that means each game's taking 15 minutes. So there's a chance it could finish before, but I think it's going to be down to the wire, no matter what.
Yep. Players are going to shuffle these decks up now. We saw a much better game there for Caleb, and honestly, a game from Michael where things just didn't really quite go as well. We saw kind of leaning into the Yveltal strategy. It really got Caleb in game one because he probably just wasn't expecting it, but Caleb was able to adjust, right? He was not putting too many energy cards in play. He also didn't get the astral misfortune of Jirachi hitting the double heads in that game, so all of those things considered, I think that this is still a matchup that Caleb should be favored in, but Michael's going to do everything he can to close this out, try to capitalize on the special energy reliance of Mew. Let's check these prize cards. That Jirachi in the prizes. No. Speaking of misfortune, I think it's just Jirachi today, being misfortunately prized.
That's it. It is right at the bottom, so Michael could take another prize and get it out there, but even so, that's the card you really want to sort of open with early on. Very unfortunate to have it prized so like that.
Caleb has finally not prized any Fusion Strike energy, but there is a power tablet in the prizes, so that is something to note for sure. Also, an Alessa Sparkle is also sitting in the prize cards.
Yeah, and also interesting to note, did Michael actually choose to let Caleb... Oh, no, Michael has gone first. Yeah, I was going to say. Starting off with a Capture Energy, looking through the deck to decide what to go for. And Caleb actually starting with that Meloetta, so going second, already presented with, like, you know, the perhaps most scary attacking threat.
Now, Caleb does only play 2 copies of Alessa Sparkle. One is in the prize card, so it's a little less likely you find it on turn 1. But there are so many ways to search specific cards like that out of the deck. We've talked about Chromatic and, of course, Forest Sealstone, both being ways to just get that piece. So as long as Caleb can draw into an energy and then one of those other options, we could just see him start attacking right away.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's what he's going to try and aim for here. So
oh, he's got a really solid hand.
Oh, he does. And Michael did not open a path to the peak this time either, so Caleb is going to be free to go on all cylinders and just sort of draw all the cards in the world and actually find everything to pull off this combo.
Quick Ball ditches the Pokemon Catcher, not something we've actually seen Caleb utilize too much. I think he's flipped a couple coins for it in this match, but not been a big vital part. I imagine it's a bigger deal in the Lugia matchup more often than not. This Quick Ball will just check those prizes, check those energies. We talked about how important it is, and Caleb is definitely going to be trying to be mindful of those resources. About 13 minutes left in this round, though, so these players need to make sure that they're keeping that in mind when they're making their decisions.
Yes, absolutely do. And he's actually going to have a look through, and he notices now, you see, he was pulling the energies out from the front and counting several things, the energies, the power tablets, the double turbos, just make sure he has a good count of everything so that he knows what he has to work with, and realizing, yes, finally, I did not prize any of my Fusion Strike energies this time.
Fusion Strike energies are all here to stay. Genesect is grabbed off the Quick Ball. Ultra Ball does lose an energy card, which could be a little scary, but at the benefit of finding a Mew V. And I wonder if Caleb will dig hard for the Meloetta play, or if we're okay to just kind of take it slow, try to draw cards, and see what develops.
Yeah, I have to see, right? So, I mean, Fusion Strike System's doing drawing 3 right now, which is not too bad. We do see double turbo and another Mew, so that's going to be even more drawn off the second Genesect. Got to be feeling pretty good about this right now.
Drawing just 2 cards here. Does find a Fusion Strike energy, but no Meloetta. Just a pass and not putting any energy in play. This is really smart because, of course, Yveltal already active with an energy card on it.
Yeah, if you can't commit to the attack this turn, no reason to attach any energy. Save yourself and just make Michael work to try and retreat to something else to attack with instead. So Michael going to go ahead and go a Quick Ball away, a V-Guard energy, maybe just get another Yveltal, yeah, and try to make it so that Caleb is eventually forced to attach energy, and then Michael can come in with the second one and do Cryo Destruction.
So I wonder if Michael never puts a Blissey into play, if it's possible for Caleb to take 6 knockouts before all of his energy get deleted. Now, Michael does only play the 3 Yveltal, and I don't think there's a way to recycle them here in this list, so if that's the case and Caleb can just always knock out one of the 3 Yveltal, then I think it would still be fine.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any recovery cards there either, no Ordinary Rod or anything like that, so these 3 Yveltals are pretty much the only ones that Michael has. So if Caleb can knock them all out, then yeah, there will be no more energy disruption to speak of.
Double Turbo Energy onto the Miltank. This is probably prepping to try to respond and KO the Meloetta. I would imagine Caleb does need to have a full bench in order for Miltank to get the KO with Route, so right now it wouldn't be doing enough, but there's no reason to have put another energy on Yveltal whenever Caleb has no special energies in play.
No, exactly, so going to commit the energy to the Miltank and then just pass it back over to Caleb, who doesn't really draw anything amazing, it looks like. Oh, going to go for a Pokemon Catcher.
See what he wants to target down. Looks like we'll never know. Oh, maybe we will if he can flip a heads here.
Oh.
It is 2 tails in a row for Caleb. That is tough.
It is tough. It does fin 2 cards out of hand, though, so it does mean that now you can go ahead and draw some more with Fusion Strike System on the Genesect, which I'm sure he'd love to do.
It looks like we're using that before playing any other cards. Fusion Strike System 2 more times. There's a VIP pass and a Serena. Could play the Serena to try and draw some cards. He's really holding off on playing any of these resources. He doesn't want to put energy in play or the Stadium until his opponent has used some cards themselves.
Yeah, and actually used the Serena to draw a few more cards there. Was able to find another Genesect, so then that was 3 Genesects on the bench, but after that, no, just pass again.
And this is, I think, okay in theory because Michael's deck doesn't put on any pressure. And, ooh, that is a big Avery.
Oh.
Every single time Avery gets played, it's pretty tough for the Mew player. Usually we see the same two Pokemon getting discarded, right? A Mew V and a Genesect, but it's never fun.
No, it's never fun. And I think the fact that Caleb wasn't really able to find anything, his playing more patiently was what was able to make Michael sort of capitalize on that and play the Avery to really sort of devastate Caleb's board without even having to really do anything, right? Just force 2 cards to be discarded just like that. And now can just send up the Miltank and start doing routes. Sure, it won't take the KO, but now it's going to be a very annoying thing to deal with.
Not often we see a 2-hit KO on a 90 HP Pokemon, but
No.
it looks like that will be the case. 50 damage coming down from route on Michael's side.
And after that Avery, Caleb's hand's still a little bit too clogged up with stuff. He can't really find a way to play out down more cards to start drawing Genesect, especially now that the Avery's come into play and there's just even less fusion Pokemon out to make Fusion Strike system draw even less.
Yeah, I think this turn he really needs to try to make something happen. And Force Seal Stone is a decent way to do that. We haven't seen any Fusion Strike systems yet.
There's the
We
first
will
one.
see the first one for 2.
Drawing a Power Tablet and an Ultra Ball. Does also find, has Lost City in hand and a Chromatic.
That Forest Seal Stone in play could also find another combo piece. Ultra Ball can get the VMAX potentially, or the Cramomatic. Oh, hits a Tails. That's multiple Tails for Caleb in this game on the Crushing Hammers and the Cramomatic.
I think that's 5 in a row.
I don't think the Crushing Hammers mattered too much, but I think that the Cramomatic definitely is a feels bad.
Yeah, really, really not ideal, as now another Fusion Strike system has 1 Power Tablet drawn, although does Caleb have a way of KOing this Miltank? I don't think so, right?
Does not, because there is no Mew VMAX on the bench to copy the Max Miracle, and also there is the Cape of Toughness on this active Miltank. So Caleb could get a knockout if he retreated this Mew, since he hasn't retreated yet. He used Switch Cart on the Meloetta. If he retreats Mew and then uses Escape Rope, he could KO one of the 2 Evil Talls on Michael's side, which would be pretty decent, actually.
Yeah, that definitely could work. But yeah, also, I mean, to be fair, no Mew VMAX on the bench. There's not even a Mew VMAX in the active right now. It's just a regular Mew V. So
I think he does have the Mew VMAX in the hand.
Oh, he does. Okay, then if there was a second one, they could go for that. But then, unfortunately, that not being the case, then yeah, Caleb now being forced to maybe burn this Star Alchemy a little bit earlier than he would have liked to.
And I think Escape Rope was the grab. This is going to have to be his play. He wants to take a prize this turn. He's putting energy in play. These energies are precious resources in matchups like these where your opponent is trying to hate on your energy cards.
Yeah, so there it is. Mew, another Mew VMAX, another Mew put down as well, and then yeah, Escape Rope. Michael had to send up a Veltal, and Caleb would just go into the Mew and retreat again, and now can just copy the Technoblast and take the first knockout of the game.
Yes, did have to burn a Power Tablet. Not the best time to do such. Does take the Alessa Sparkle off the prizes, though. That is actually a pretty decent card to hit.
Yeah, and now maybe even be able to consider, powering up a Meloetta next turn if that is on the cards. Of course, not needing to go for that, really big Wombo Combo 280 play, given that Michael's not really benching any Blissey's, but still good to be able to maybe attack with a single prizer just to make the prize trade more favorable.
So now Miltank in the active. We'll see what Michael wants to do. Could go for the Evital this turn. Ooh, there is another Avery here in hand. That
another
is something
one.
to consider, yes.
Wow.
So what does Caleb lose here? Meloetta seems like the easy choice, but what else do you discard? Can get rid of the Genesect. Doesn't matter which one. Might as well get rid of the one with the tool on it since Star Alchemy has already been used.
Yeah, but that's really devastating. That's going to show the power of Avery, right? So twice in a row we just saw it take out 2 of Caleb's bench Pokemon, and now Caleb, even this passive peak almost doesn't matter as much, right? The fact is that there's only 1 Genesect out, so the amount of Fusion Strike systems is going to be very limited.
And Caleb has had this Lost City in his hand since almost the beginning of the game, and there were so many times where he could have put it in play to draw 1 more card with Fusion Strike system, but he recognized how important it would be to have access to in order to counter the stadium, and so he has held onto it, and it has certainly paid off.
Yeah, Michael finishing off his turn with a route as it now goes back to Caleb, who will probably not too much time slap down that Lost City and start using, well, the 1 Genesect that he still has left.
It's a little awkward. You kind of, I think, this turn would rather KO the Evital if you could. Just going to play it slow here and pass. And I think I like this from Caleb. He could have, in theory, used Alessa Sparkle, put an energy onto the Meloetta, and KO'd the Miltank. Seems great, right? But then you remember Evital can come up and just discard a bunch of those energy cards you put into play. Michael's putting on no pressure. So just send up this Mew. It can chill for a turn. Ooh, the boss's orders onto the... Oh, and the powerful colorless. That makes it enough to take out the Meloetta. And with the other one in the discard pile, Michael has taken out Caleb's only way to use Melodious Echo, unless Caleb can use Silene.
out of nowhere, Michael just with the powerful colorless route KO on the Meloetta of the boss's orders. Absolutely incredible stuff. And yeah, that's fantastic, right? Because yeah, like you said, now that Melodious Echo option is just completely taken away, and Caleb probably wasn't expecting that at all.
Definitely unexpected. Caleb chose to keep that Meloetta with the damage on it as opposed to the one without the damage because it had the choice belt. He was valuing that card, but Michael has not put a single two-prize Pokemon in play that choice belt could have been useful for. Now this Cramomatic heads for Caleb. Does find the Mew VMAX. We could just see try to Max Miracle and chill for a couple of turns, put on a little pressure. It does deal 110 damage, which would be enough to KO that Miltank, but of course that Cape of Toughness on there, keeping it around for a little bit longer.
Yeah, so just a Max Miracle for not a KO, as it turns out, just going to be for the 110 damage after the reduction from the double turbo, and now it's going to be back on Michael.
And this is great from Caleb, honestly. I mean, Caleb doesn't need to put the Lost City in play. He can't really even use that cross Fusion Strike he can't really even use Fusion Strike system on the Genesect in order to draw any cards. So on Michael's side, we actually see that Hyper Potion healing off all the damage on that Miltank, and the boss's the Serena, not the boss's orders, will bring up that Genesect and just try to run Caleb out of resources.
Yeah, so just going to go for the route, attaching a double turbo to the active, and to make sure the damage is right. Yeah, make sure that is correct. The powerful colorless and the double turbo essentially cancel each other out at this point.
Right.
The minus 20 plus 20, so 50 it's going to be. But now Caleb has to find a switch out again. Does go for the Elisa Sparkle, so does have access to 2 more Fusion Strike energy in the deck. But no really easy way to retreat this Genesect.
Does target both the Mew on the bench. These energies are really important. Yeah, and because Caleb doesn't think he can attack this turn, it looks like we're not going to see him pull any energy out of the deck. He doesn't want to potentially lose them.
No, and that's a very, very sensible decision. So maybe more playing Elisa Sparkle just to get rid of it so that it's not like a factor later on. But it does put Caleb in a very tough position because he needs to attack, but if he attaches energy, then it's going to get discarded. So now playing the Lost City.
And we're going to draw 1 card off of it as well. It's going to be the double turbo energy to attach and retreat the Genesect. This will not be enough to get the KO. Max Miracle still just dealing 110, but if Michael doesn't have another Hyper Potion, this is going to lead to a 2-hit knockout.
Yeah, which is pretty devastating. Going to be pretty devastating. Not perhaps a little bit too much, but this definitely Caleb doing like the best he can in this sort of situation.
We are under 3 minutes left in this match, and it is coming down to a resource war. And there is definitely a chance that this game just doesn't complete, I think.
Yeah, there's really not enough time for a resource war here, unfortunately. So maybe in the long term this would have worked, but I think as it stands currently, there's going to be. Oh, and now Michael does go for the Blissey.
Yeah, taking a great turn to do it, I think, as well. Using Serena after your opponent has been forced to use a double turbo to switch out. Bring up this Genesect, put the Blissey in play, start to load it up so you can maybe threaten a KO. With no Path to the Peak in play, though, there is an opportunity here for Caleb.
Yeah, there is. The Lost City is still in play, so there's going to be an option to do 1 Fusion Strike system, and then now actually maybe 1 more because Caleb was able to find the other Genesect V, the one of only 2 that's left after the others got discarded.
Does have Rotom Phone in hand and also Silene, so plenty of things for Caleb to consider here.
Yeah, we do see Rotom Phone finding 2 of those Fusion Strike energies, Quick Ball, and another Power Tablet, but nothing that's really helpful right now. Like there's nothing really. He needs an out to switch this Genesect, and he's not finding it right now. And if this Genesect doesn't come out of the active, then Michael can just keep you're building up this Blissey over and over to the point where it's unsurmountable.
Yeah, with under 2 minutes now, I think it's going to be tough. I think for either player to win this game, they're going to have to take prizes in the next turn before time is called. And there's a chance that time just gets called on this turn right here for Caleb. We'll go for the Silene. Does flip 2 coins, only getting 1 heads.
Yeah, and probably going to be getting back, I imagine. Would go with the switch card, of course, which was discarded earlier, can get that back, put it on top, and now the Fusion Strike system can draw it straight away with the Genesect. And now there is the switch out to go back into the Mew and be able to start attacking again.
And this actually draws it in addition to drawing the Power Tablet, so I do believe Caleb should be hitting for just enough here to get the 1-hit knockout. I think 250 damage exactly. Oh, but there's one problem.
Yes.
Can't forget the V-Guard energy.
Yes, V-Guard energy. We're going to make it just a little bit short, unfortunately.
Wow.
Yeah, Caleb, just sort of talking about the maths there, it's not quite enough to get the job done.
Oh, so it goes through the Max Miracle instead, I think? Or no, is that the damage after the...
Wait, what?
It must have just gone for the Max Miracle, because that does hit through the effect of V-Guard energy.
It does,
but it still should have done more damage, I think, right? Because I think oh no, he didn't play the power tablet, right? It's still in the hand.
Oh, okay, right. So I guess that makes sense. But it's choice spell then, surely. Oh no, but then actually, I'm a little bit confused. I'm not quite sure what's going on there with the maths. But in any case, that's boss's orders for Blissful Blast.
More damage being put onto play, more energy being put onto this Blissey as well. See, pretty useless cards here in Caleb's hand, and I think he is definitely low on resources as far as ways to move this active Genesect. We've already seen him use one Escape Rope. We've seen him use one Switch card. Those are both cards he only plays one copy of. We've seen him use the Silene, so he can't recycle them, and one Double Turbo's in play. One has been used to retreat a Genesect, so I think this active Genesect might just be stuck.
It might be, but then, of course, if time gets called now, then both players have 5 prizes left. There's no way for either of them to win. That's the thing.
And time has expired on our timer. We'll get confirmation on who is turn 0 and who is turn 1. It looks like Caleb will be turn 0. So I think with that being the case, yeah, there's just no way for Caleb to win this game. There is, however, still a chance that Michael could win, right? With 5 prizes remaining in 2 turns, he could 1-hit KO a Genesect, 1-hit KO a Mew. And with a bunch of energies on this Blissey, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
That is very true, actually. Yeah, I mean, that Blissey's looking pretty stat dry by now. We've seen on stream a couple of times before, yeah, Blissey's with, like, you know, so many energies on and they just stretch across the field, and that's kind of the point we're getting to right now as well.
We're getting close, for sure.
So, this is going to be it.
Now, this is going to be Caleb's way to retreat. Attach the Fusion Strike energy for turn, Alessa Sparkle 1 to the active, retreat these 2 energies off of the Genesect, go into the Mew, and that will be enough to KO this Blissey. Now, unfortunately, I don't think this is going to be the game-winning play for Caleb, but it will ensure that he can't lose this game any longer.
Yeah, at this point, that pretty much like seals the tie, I think it's safe to say.
Yeah, so a tie here will eliminate both players from top cut contention, but there's still so much more on the line, right? These players need their championship points. They're hoping to, you know, get the various prize money that you can get for getting for how you finish at the Latin American International Championships, of course. So this is where we are.
Yeah, and Michael, with not much else to do, as he promotes to Veltor, draws a card, but with his biggest attacking threat sort of off the board, there's pretty much no way for him to win this game now, unfortunately, with that potential, you know, prize map of, as you mentioned, just KO the Mew and KO a 2-prizer.
Yeah, I think if this game continued on past time, I still favor Michael overall. Caleb is just totally gassed for resources, and both of these players recognize the situation. They see we can't actually conclude this game. Let's go ahead and agree to just save each other some time. We'll tie it up and go to our next round. Yeah,
so unfortunately, we won't be seeing Blissey in the top 8 today of Latin American Internationals, but still, huge congratulations to both of these players, and really cool to see a Brazilian player taking such a unique deck all the way through to such a good performance in day 2 as well.
Yes, very exciting. Congratulations to both of these players. I mean, they're still making day 2 at these ICs is an accomplishment in and of itself, but I know they're both competitors. They want to go as far as possible in these events, so taking a tie in this round, I mean, it's just one of the worst feelings as a competitor, honestly.
Yeah, it is, especially when it is you know, the point where, like, no one wins from this, right? Both these players are now just out of top cut contention because the game couldn't finish, so you both players walk away feeling a bit like, you know, it's not really... It's a bit of an anticlimactic ending, I guess you could say. But like you said, still plenty to play for. Still could make your way maybe to sort of top 16 or top 32, get some of those points for Worlds and you know, some of those other prizes. So you know, definitely still going to take the rest of the games very seriously and do their best to win out from now on.
So that was the first time we've seen the Fusion Strike version of Mew on the stream. We've seen the double turbo, you know, more consistent, straightforward build a few times now. I'm curious on your opinions after watching that game. Do you think you kind of favor one or the other as far as consistency or power level?
It's really tough, to be honest, because I think we could definitely see like how it was nice that Mew variant could like put more attacking pressure early on. But it was also a very weird matchup, right? Because we were seeing that for the first time against something like Blissey, which has all this energy discard power going on. I guess the one thing you could say is that you do have more energy to work with. So if you're playing just the 4 double turbo builds, then all 4 does get discarded, then you're really left with nothing. So there's definitely different things factoring in. I think it's actually very interesting to see it, but I'm finding a hard time forming an opinion on whether, you know, which one I purely like most, especially having seen that performance.
Yeah, I wonder what it would look like watching it against a Lugia match,
yes,
right? That's probably where you could tell for sure which one you favored more. And I think maybe the Fusion Strike build is a little better into Lugia just because you have that turn 1 potential going second with the Meloetta to just cheese a 2-prize KO with the Pokemon catchers. I mean, we see Caleb was kind of committed to all of that, right? So.
Yeah, and I think especially because, yeah, if you can get your turn 1 knockout going second on a Lugia, for example. You could just basically win the game that way. And I remember people talking about that being one of the merits of maybe playing the Fusion Strike build again, because the turn 1 knockout is so impactful in that matchup.
Yep. So we'll have our next round up very, very soon, round 14, just 2 rounds remaining. Every single match becomes more and more stressful. We can give a couple updates. That table 1 match has finished. Pedro Pertusi up against Sander Wojcik, and Sander has come out victorious. Now, both of those players sitting at 34 match points. Sander is definitely in an excellent position to make another deep run here at LAIC.
Yeah, you'll have to see it. And over on table 2 as well, we talked about Julius against Lucas earlier. Julius and Finland did lose to Lucas, so Lucas is now on 33 match points. Got to be feeling good about his chances of making top 8.
Yep, so we're getting our pairings up now, and we'll be picking a match very, very shortly. Definitely looking forward to seeing what's going to happen in these last few rounds. It is shaping up to be a decent amount of Lugia, but there is lots of other things to consider as well. There's plenty of other decks out in the field. We've seen Grant Manley and Azul Garcia Griego with their Lost Box deck, with the Kyogre, the Radiant Greninja, all kinds of crazy stuff going on there.
Yeah, there's so lots of crazy decks still in contention to make top 8. I don't think it's going to be a majority Lugia for sure, but I don't think it's going to be a case of like every single top cut deck is Lugia, at least not from what I can see so far.
Hopefully not, right? I mean, I think it will still be a decent percentage, most likely. I mean, we're looking at probably 4 to 5. It's hard to say still. There's still so